We're back with part 2 of covering tapes on the Commodore 64 Ultimate. We're going to address some of the concerns you had in the comments. We're going to do boombox duplication of tapes, and we got tons more to talk about. Stick around. Let's go into the Monroe world. Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. We're back here covering a few things, and I know some of you don't believe me that you can use a boombox to duplicate cassettes for the Commodore 64. We're going to actually do that, share some lessons learned with you. But a few things, you can see I brought out my original Commodore 64 data set here. This is the one that you've seen in prior videos. This is the one I dug out of the shed. I had a couple of problems with this guy, so just to remove it from being a possible piece of the equation, I replaced it with the original one. Plus, I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you the differences here. You can see, I mentioned that this was a ground. Someone reached out and said this actually is shield, that if you basically attach this to the Commodore 64, it will reduce noise and maybe make your loads and saves a little better. But you can see here on the one that I've been using, it's been cut off. So we're gonna put this guy away, save that for another day, and we're gonna go back to using this guy. So one thing that was brought up in the comments down below was the fact that when you're loading a tape and you get the found message, like we're going to see here in a moment, you can actually use the space bar to skip it. Now, I swear I tried this before my original video and it wasn't working right. But in this case, when I did it again, you can see that it actually works. So I wanted to make that correction.
All right, I thought I would give Forbidden Forest a break and dig out my copy of Slinky, also on cassette. And I made a critical mistake, so I'm leaving this whole segment in, hoping that you do not. So I took Slinky out of the box, dropped it right into my high-speed dubbing boombox. I even opened up a fresh, empty blank, just to make sure that I had the highest quality available. It is a 90-minute tape, though. Don't recommend that. Stick to C15s, maybe C30s. Stick this guy in here, and I did this duplication 3 or 4 different times. I lost track. I did high speed. I did regular speed. And every time that I would test the copy, you can see how the time adds up here, it errored out. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe the process doesn't work. I never checked the original cassette to make sure it worked. I was dubbing a bad tape. God, please don't make the same mistakes I did. All right, so we're going to go back to the tried and true Forbidden Forest. I've loaded this tape like 100 times by now, and we know it's good. So we'll go through the high-speed dubbing process one more time. Again, I was going to try to keep this one big contiguous take, but, again, I don't think you guys want to sit around and wait forever. So we have the high-speed dub done. You can see here, it's about the same length of tape, 150 clicks-ish is what Forbidden Forest takes, which, by the way, does not fit on a 10-minute tape. We'll talk more about that later. And I had to rewind it, so I had to cut, and I'm going to play it, and you don't want to sit here for 10 minutes waiting for it to load, but I wanted you to see, yes, it found FF. I hit the space bar, by the way, something you can do. Thank you to one of my listeners. There we go. All right, so it loaded. The game loads. I was able to jump in and hit F1, and there you go. The game actually works. High-speed dub, the right equipment, the right tapes, it does work.
All right, something that we talked about on a previous episode was the ability to use an action replay cartridge to create a turbo loading version of your game. Now, if you've ever used Turbo Tape 2, ABC Turbo, Turbo 250, there's a ton of these tools out there that will let you take a PRG file, crunch it into a compatible format, and then you put the loader on the tape first. It runs the loader, then it loads the subsequent turbo enabled games. It's a lot of work. I was actually going to do it for this video, but it turned out that it was just sort of a funky way of doing business. But I will show you this way. So here I have the Action Replay 6 installed, right? I'm going to run the game Frogger. And once I'm at the title screen, I'm going to freeze it using the freezer feature of Action Replay, and then I'm going to do a backup. Now, I have here a 10-minute laser tape, no leader, which is really cool. There's the leaders here, so you never have to worry about advancing it past the leader. And the shorter tape, I don't know the quality of this tape. I picked it up in a lot, so it might not work great, but it might work well. So you have 2 different tape options here, turbo and super turbo. Turbo is 2 times faster. Super Turbo is like 5 or 6 times faster, but it's also pretty sketchy whether it's going to work or not. Turbo seems to be really reliable. So essentially you get 2 times the speed with that. We're going to try Super Turbo together. I have no idea if it's going to work. I didn't do this in advance on this tape, hoping that the quality, the low tape roll up here is going to make this hopefully a little more reliable. So we're going to hit E. File name, of course, is Frogger. Press record and play. And let's see what happens. Now I'm going to take the mic off here. Listen carefully. That sounds like a normal tape. So what that just did was write the bootloader, so to speak, the fast loading piece of it. Now it's going to write the actual game. Listen to the difference. It's the same data, only more compressed, writing to a smaller space on the tape. If this works, it's 6 times faster, 5 or 6 times faster than the original load, which should make this thing really, really fast. If it works, we'll find out together. All right, so it finished. Doesn't mean it worked well. So let's stop the tape. Now let's take a look here. Like maybe not even half the tape was used. That's pretty impressive. So that's under 5 minutes. We're going to rewind. I'm just going to reset the entire thing. And we're going to go right back here and try to load it. Here we go. All right, so you did see that there was a load error, right? It just so happens that the game seems to be working anyway, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't trust the, actually, maybe it didn't work. It should have picked up something beyond now. So it kind of worked, but it didn't. So yeah, so let's avoid using super turbo functionality, right? So when you're going to make your backups, just use the standard turbo and it'll at least get you twice as fast, and it's actually pretty easy. Plus you can bypass any sort of trainers or anything that might have been stuck on the PRG file as well. So that's kind of cool. You'll notice that after I hit the space bar, it kept going on the tape. This is the behavior that you would expect to see. Now, on the other tape drive that I had that I showed off previously, the one that had the little shielding cable, which I might as well bust it out again. So the drive that I had previous, this guy, which you can definitely see there are some visible differences. This one would actually stop, and you'd have to stop it and start it yourself. So there's something either wrong with this guy, or there's a difference between these two. Maybe one of you guys knows the answer to that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick follow-up look to the tapes. Again, I appreciate all your comments, even when you tell me I'm wrong, or maybe my information's a little off. This is how we learn. This is how we grow as a channel and as a community. So I hope you enjoyed looking at cassette tapes. I'm kind of looking forward to putting all these things away. I'm kind of done with the cassette player and with tape files in general. There's just better ways of doing it. So if it's not for the nostalgia, try to find a different way. Tapes may not be the answer. That's it for me. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, hype the video. Yeah, blah, blah. You guys know what to do. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.